Thank you so much for joining Sharebirds, the Essential Go-to-Market Show, tips and strategies where we offer short video content and interview-style conversations with global product marketing leaders. I'm your host, Yasmin Sharehi. Whether you're an early-stage startup or a public company, almost everyone struggles with the same question. What does it take to have a successful product launch? Today, I'll be talking to Nina Seth. She's the product marketing director of Blue Yonder. Blue Yonder is the world leader in digital supply chain and omnichannel commerce fulfillment. I'm super excited to talk to her. So welcome to the show, Nina.
Thank you, Yasmin. It's great to be here.
So Nina, can you tell us what are some of your top learnings and takeaways when it comes to launching a product successfully in market?
Sure. I think there are a couple of things that I really want to highlight. Really, the first is understand the problems that your product is trying to solve. And I think that's really key to figuring out what value props you want to drive, what messaging, what positioning. Because I think too many times a product comes to us or other organizations come to marketing and says, hey, we have a product, we need you to launch this. But like, what problem is it really trying to solve? Who's that target audience? I think that's really important to understand. It's also important to understand who's in market. Very rarely are you a first comer in that space, right? I mean, I've worked in a number of industries. I worked in file sharing, I worked in security. And usually when I was in file sharing, we weren't first to market, right? But you have to figure out what problem are you trying to solve specifically? What is your company's sweet spot? And there should be something there that your company's product is doing better than the competition, right? Otherwise, it's another product in the market. And unfortunately or fortunately, I mean, most of the products are fairly similar, right? So you really need to understand what that value prop is. And then really understand who's your competitors, how are they positioning themselves, how are you going to position your product relative to them, and how do you anticipate them attacking you, right? Because that's going to come up. And depending on what market you're in, I mean, that's definitely going to be there. I mean, it may be subtle, but it could also be on the website, right? They may have a page that says us versus X product. And so I think that's really key to launching a successful product, right? Because I think those are the questions that sales is going to be asking is, okay, what's the competitive analysis on this? I mean, what talking points can we use when we're going and speaking to customers? And that needs to be articulated throughout the content that you're either delivering to sales directly or on the website and solution sheets and other materials. So I think those are really important. And then the other thing that I have found is that you really need to have internal cohesion to launch a product successfully. So you need to have alignment across marketing, sales, product management, exec team. They can't be misalignment. There can't be marketing wants to do one thing and sales is thinking it's something else. Like the most successful companies I worked at, there was alignment at the C-suite, at the exec level. And so everyone was marching down the same path. And so I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think for the competitive research piece, what I've seen is a lot of companies get stuck up on the competitive research piece. Sometimes they don't know who should own that or what type of competitive research they should do. So I'm also curious, do you have third parties that you work with? Do you do that in-house? Like what sort of things do you look for when it comes to competitive research?
Most of the companies I've worked at, competitive was done in-house. It was either done through product marketing. So I was either responsible for doing competitive within the organization. I've seen it housed in sales. I've seen it as a separate function within marketing. So I've seen it land in various ways within an organization. So I don't think there is a silver bullet to where it needs to be, but there needs to be a person or a team that's looking at key competitors on a daily basis. And so going back to when I worked in file sharing, I mean, that was part of my initial role as a product marketer was looking at what our key competitors were doing and doing competitive analysis and building out those tools. And so I think that was also a great way to understand the market and where things were on a daily and weekly basis. And if you're not particularly responsible for that, I think you still need to understand what's going on from a competitive standpoint. The product team, the sales team are still going to expect that, even if they are other functions within an organization that are formally responsible for building out that material and keeping track of that.
Right. And so, Nina, what has surprised you the most about this position and launching products?
I think the one thing that over time that surprised me the most about being a product marketer is how misunderstood product marketing is. And it varies from company to company. I've worked in companies where product management and product marketing were a single function. I've worked where most of the organizations, it's been separate, but there is no solid line, right? There's a lot of gray area between product marketing and product management and even other functions within an org. And so I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what product marketing needs to be doing. And I think that hasn't changed, right? I mean, that definitely doesn't change, right? Like some people are like, oh, product marketing is, can you create a pretty slide presentation or can you write a blog? And, in many orgs, blogs or other content might be produced by content marketing, or there might be other functions. And so I think that's the one thing that you're always trying to show your teammates across the organization what value product marketing is bringing to the table, what experience we have, and what we're really all about.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, I feel the same way. Like there's so much misunderstanding about what product marketing actually is because it's so many things and you can kind of focus on so many different things within product marketing for every company, for every growth stage.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I find that so many product marketers have to kind of like defend their role and the value. And then once they win the support of the company or of the product team, then things become easier. But yeah, it's just so fascinating how misunderstood this role is and also how important it is. I have seen product marketing kind of destroy companies and also elevate companies. So it really makes or breaks a lot of organizations.
It certainly does. And I think everyone brings their own perspective based on where they've come from and how they might have interacted with product marketing. And like I said, it really varies across companies and even within an industry. It completely changes, right? I mean, one organization may want product marketing to focus on X, the other company wants Y. And so you can stay within the same industry and your focus could completely change.
Right, exactly. So, Nina, what about team structure? What teams do you rely on most for product marketing collaboration?
Sure. I would say product management probably is the most important for me. They're the ones building the product, they're the ones working with engineering. And so, as I look to launch products throughout the year, depending on how often we're doing launches, I'm really looking to product management to understand roadmap, to understand what they're planning to do based on customer demand and customer expectations. And so, we're working really hand in hand. And the most successful relationships are really where product management is coming to you on a frequent basis, right? So you have weekly or bi-weekly meetings and really understanding what's coming out, what changes they are, and then working together to build out content. I think the second organization that I really spend a lot of time with is sales, pre-sales, because they are in front of customers every single day. They are understanding what are the challenges, what are the pain points, and you really can understand from their perspective what competitors are out there. But if you're talking to a prospect, they're talking to you and they're talking to two, three, maybe half a dozen companies, depending on the industry. And so they are able to provide that knowledge.
Right,
And
right.
and then the last organization I think that's really important is a demand gen, because we can produce a lot of content, right? I mean, we can produce blogs and solution sheets and all this great content, but at the end of the day, we still need to drive. We need to get leads, right?
Yeah.
And demand gen can really help and partner with product marketing to build out programs and to really build pipeline. And I think that's really important these days. I mean, regardless of the size of the organization, it's getting harder and harder to get people's attention. And I
Mm,
think
yeah.
in the last 12 months, that's become even more apparent because we don't have in person events and everything is really through email or webcasts. And so working with demand gen to really figure out how do we reach customers? How do we make sure we're top of mind when they're getting bombarded by so many different vendors?
Yeah, that's so interesting. So it's product sales and demand gen. And I think with demand gen, I've noticed that I work with a lot of early stage companies. And so oftentimes there's like a desire to hire demand gen instead of product marketing. And what I've often found is then demand gen can create a lot of top of funnel collateral, but not necessarily mid funnel and later stage funnel, which is more focused, on product. So I think both are so important, but oftentimes a lot of companies maybe over index for one versus the other. And yeah, you need both and you need them to partner together. So
Absolutely. Because I think, as you said, they can do top of funnel, but at the end of the day, they're not being tasked to understand the product at the depth that product marketers are. I mean, they're probably covering, depending on the size of the company. If you're in a small company, you may have one demand gen person, one email marketing person who's covering 6, 7, 8 products, maybe even more. And so they're understanding the product is at that high level versus product marketers can come in and say, okay, let me help you craft emails that are based on X, Y, and Z functionality or capabilities or use cases.
Right, exactly. Well, thank you, Nina. And where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, so I'm pretty active on both.
Okay, well, stay tuned for upcoming shows with product marketing leaders from startups to public companies as they share some of their best tips and strategies on the go-to-market process. And please be sure to send us a note, tag us, tell us what you learned, tag Nina, tag Sharebird. For those of you who are looking for more material on go-to-market, you can check out my book, Product Marketing Debunked, which is on Amazon, or one of my many articles on Medium. Thanks again.